All right, Tommy, let's talk about the combine. We got a lot of players working out today. Can you, from your experience, can you talk about what benefits or what data can scouts get from the combine to reinforce their evaluation? Is it important? Do you only depend on the film, or does like the workouts and the 40 times? How much do they help when you're evaluating players?
Yeah, I mean, so I had the great opportunity of going to the combine last year while I was still working in football, and it was a great experience for me personally because there's a lot of networking opportunities. I mean, you're talking to people there that you wouldn't imagine. The little kid in me would have lost it, if he had found out that that was going to be something I'd end up doing one day. But in terms of the players, it's a good opportunity to meet with teams, right? And when you're scouting a player specifically for the draft, like it is film does not lie. Film does not lie. That's always going to come first, right? I mean, that's where all the scouting comes from, and it's always a team by team basis, right? So I mean, like for example, the Chiefs, I had an opportunity to get dinner with a scout from the Chiefs last year in Indy, and we were kind of talking about some of their processes, and they don't really bring a lot of guys to the combine, right? I mean, they like everything. It's 2025, right? Everything you can find online. Everything that you want you can find online, right? You can see their film online, you can see them move online, and a lot of these teams do have kind of targets already going into the combine. So sometimes they'll go in and kind of see, how they're moving. They might want to see them get a certain 40 time, but it's very open. No team is just going in, with a blank mind and being like, all right, let's see who looks the best here. That's who we're going to draft. Like that's not at all how it works. But also, this is outside of the Senior Bowl, of course, this is their next opportunity to meet with players. And throughout between the Senior Bowl and now, they've had time to watch more film, identify more targets. And so this just gives them an opportunity to have a conversation with them, pick their brain, see how they measure out, see how they run, and really kind of hone in on what they want to do when it comes to pro days and kind of start to really put their board together here. And so, in terms of catching, running routes and catching the ball during drills, yes, you want to see the guys go out there and compete, but does it really matter? No. As much as someone might want to tell you that it matters, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I saw last year, I saw Xavier Worthy break the 40 record, right? I also saw Xavier Worthy put on his tracksuit, pick up his backpack, and walk out right after that instead of running drills when his biggest question as a prospect was, can he catch the ball? And it didn't matter, right? He still went very early to the Chiefs, and he had a successful rookie season. So, and a lot of guys are starting to not participate in drills, right? They're just starting to go to meet, do medical. Medicals are also very important. I want to throw that in there. Medicals are very important. Like I heard last year during their like Michael, one of the big things for Michael Penix was if he doesn't do well on his medicals, like he will fall out of the first two rounds. And obviously, as we saw, medicals went. I don't know how his medicals went, but I can tell you with where he went in the draft, his medicals did go well. And so a lot of it's just kind of cleaning up some information, and there are some unheralded guys that can pop off and have a really good performance, like Braden Fisk, for example, who can go out there, have a great combine, and start getting on teams' radars. But for some of these top guys, it really, really doesn't matter. I think the combine's more built for guys that may be a little bit more under the radar. But if you're a top prospect, nothing there really, maybe a bad interview or whatnot, but nothing there is really going to drastically change, your draft stock.
Man, I'm really excited about the Seahawks participation in the combine this year. I know last year Mike McDonald came very late. He was hiring his staff. I think he was hiring Grubb and a lot of other assistant coaches near the combine, so they didn't participate in meetings. They didn't get to know the players. It was John Schneider and his team doing everything, and the coaches were not there. So I'm very excited this year that Mike McDonald and his team get to attend the combine, get to talk to players, get to be involved in these big discussions, because I think as a GM and coach, when you spend that time of that time with each other, it kind of solidifies your philosophy for the football team. It gives the scouting team more information on what type of player you need. And I think so. Those extra meetings are going to be really, really crucial for this team right now. Tell me about how much of a help do you think coaches being there, and improves, drafting? And because I know some coaches like to go there. I know Andy Reid, he goes there every year. I know, Dan Campbell, he goes there every year. A lot of coaches love going there, but again, and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, they don't go to the combine every year, so they just, stay and just watch film, and their GMs usually go there. So talk about like what benefit does it bring the organization for the coaching staff to be there in Indianapolis?
Yeah, and I mean, with that, I think it's very subjective. I think it's very subjective. You know, each organization kind of has a different way that like they like to go about it. Each coach is an individual that likes their process of going about it. And I think these guys find what works for them. Like I said, I don't necessarily think in today's NFL with technology that we have that it is completely necessary that you have to go to the combine and still have a good draft. Um, but I think some of these coaches like to be more hands on, and talk to the players themselves, and they'll have an opportunity. They might go to pro days and stuff, and still have a chance to talk to the guys. Facility visits as well in the process. So they will have an opportunity to speak with the guys they want to speak to. But I think another thing that is cool is that it is, kind of a social. It's kind of a social, as much as it's about scouting, it's almost halfway like just interacting with other people in the league and other staffers around the country, even in college. There's college staffers there, a ton of from all over the country. Obviously, a lot of NFL personnel is there, and every night it's just a big social. There's private events, private parties. And everyone in the NFL world just gets together and just has a good time. Celebrates the off season a little bit, connects with each other, and just have conversations. And they could be casual, they could be important, and that's kind of the big thing. It's like the MLB winter meetings. Everyone's together and gives you an opportunity to really have hands-on conversations with both different people around the league and obviously the prospects. And it's a good opportunity. I mean, it just gives and there's a way to each team obviously gets a suite in the stadium, right? And shoot, by the time day three of the combine rolled around, some of them were empty. And there is time in those suites though to just have discourse with your other staffers on your team and talk about the prospects as you see them and they're presented in front of you. You can have a conversation about them, then move on to the next, have another conversation. And so it's just a lot of opportunity. And each team goes about it differently. Each team seizes the opportunity differently. And, there's no textbook way of going about the combine. And that's one of the biggest things I learned last year is there isn't really a textbook way. And like it is, a big meeting thing. Like I had opportunities last year in the mornings before the drill started to go meet up with old friends who've moved on to the NFL and are scouting there and just have a coffee and have a conversation, catch up, and do all that. So it's just, it's kind of a freelance type deal. And so, they have obligations. There's meetings, which is the college personnel awards that there's in the convention center there. So they give out like director of player personnel of the year for the college. And so there's just a lot going on. It's a really, really cool experience for football fans and for football personnel guys like myself. And that's definitely a week. I went for the full week last year. I went Monday to Sunday, and I'll never forget it. I mean,
Nice.
that was one of the best weeks of my life. And it was an incredible experience.